Hi, everyone. I had a question about what you need to keep track of when you're doing your bookkeeping for your home-based business and your Etsy business. And I used to use GoDaddy Bookkeeping, which they have now gotten rid of. And at that point, I was looking for different bookkeeping software that would import everything so I didn't have to do it. But I couldn't find anything that imported Etsy and my website. And I decided just to go back to my old system of spreadsheets so that I could keep track of everything myself. And then at the end of the year, if you're doing it yourself throughout the year, you don't have to worry about if something hasn't been imported correctly, because that's one thing when you use the bookkeeping softwares that import everything, you still have to go back in and check everything. You need to make sure that it's imported everything correctly and put it in the right spot. A lot of times my bookkeeping software would miss things, or I would just, forget to look at something. You have to go back and double check everything if you're using software that imports things for you. If you're inputting everything yourself and you're sure that you have hit everything and you've put everything in the right place, at the end of the year when you do your taxes, it's pretty simple. So, because you've already done it right. So what I'm going to do is show you my bookkeeping software, the spreadsheet that I came up with for myself. Now, this works for me because I have specific categories of income and expenses. You can design your own spreadsheet if you want to do that and make something that fits you. But if you sell on more than one place, you might need different types of, records to keep, just so that you know what you're getting income and expenses for each place. So I'm going to share the screen and I'm going to show you the Etsy sheet first, because I have specific sheets for Etsy because it's its own thing. And then I'll show you my income and expenses spreadsheet just so you can see what kind of categories that I look at. And it might ring a bell in your head that you might need to look at that for yours. The first spreadsheet that I use, and I have one of these for every Etsy shop. So this is a separate, I have 3 Etsy shops. I have 3 of these, and it's kind of a pain. Yes. But if you do it, like I said, once a month, just get everything in there. Then at the end of the year, everything is there and it's correct. So this is my spreadsheet. Now, what I've done for myself, because Etsy does not make bookkeeping easy. I have an article and I will post the link, and you can get this spreadsheet in the article. I don't know if I have the month or the income before fees sections added into the spreadsheet that you can download, but you can download that yourself. This is an Excel spreadsheet, but you can open this in Google Docs. So there's no reason why you can't use this. You can go to Google, you can use Google Drive and open this there. So what I've done is I've labeled every column with the Etsy CSV file that you need. So there are 2 CSV files that you need to download to get this information. And of course, none of it lines up between the 2 spreadsheets. It's confusing. And that's why it's confusing. But I've labeled everything so that every month I don't have to worry about missing something and try to remember what I did. So in column A, we have Etsy sold orders CSV. That's the name of the CSV file. And to do that, like I said, there's a link in the description. You can go and see how to download the CSV files. But on the Etsy sold order spreadsheet in column A, that is the order date. I want to keep track of the order date, the customer name, the order value, any coupons they used, the cost of any shipping labels. Oh, this is actually what they paid me. This is Etsy income. Okay. So if they paid for a shipping label, that's what that column is. This is any refunds that were issued. And this is all stuff that you need to reconcile at the end of the year, like those figures. Now, the processing fees and everything, I get those from the monthly reports in the finance tab. I am not obsessed with making sure that everything lines up. As long as I'm telling the IRS at the end of the year that I made more money than the 1099 say, and if it's in the same general area, if I'm off by thousands of dollars, I'll definitely go and check. But I have never, maybe once, been able to get everything lined up 100% correctly. As long as I'm reporting more income, that's fine. And if they want to come and audit me, I would appreciate it, because maybe they can explain Etsy's bookkeeping, and that it's fun. Okay. So anyway, this is the name of the spreadsheet. So the Etsy sold orders CSV file that you download from Etsy has all of these things. And this is the column on the spreadsheet that it's located in. So what I do is I copy and paste it from that spreadsheet onto my form. That way, at the end of the year, I can go in and add everything up. I'll have all the numbers there to reconcile the sales that I made on Etsy and the fees that I paid. And this spreadsheet it's like direct checkout sales. I think it's direct checkout payment sales or something like that. But it's on column Z. It has the refunds, and the CTR is the name of my store. It's a cake to remember. So that's just how I keep track, because I do have 3 Etsy shops. So I just put the name there. So that's what that means. But this is the direct checkout payments spreadsheet. It's either direct checkout sales or direct checkout payments. I'm not sure. It's one of the CSV files that you download, but it's column Z. Now, column Z does not correspond. So when you go to line this all up, like if you're doing your bookkeeping and you copy this column and paste it in here, it's not going to correspond to the orders, because why make them all line up, you know? So for refunds, if there aren't any refunds, you can just leave it blank. But if you issued refunds, you do want to have that, because that counts as an expense that you then take at the end of the year. But it doesn't line up and correspond to the same columns or the same lines on the spreadsheet in the Etsy sold orders. So just be aware of that. For the listing, shipping, processing fees, I go to the actual finance tab on Etsy, and I get that month by month. I just write down the seller fees. That has everything in it: listing fees, transaction fees, all that. That's that one number that they give you. I write that down, and I have it lined out by month. Again, I don't know if I have the months column in the one that you can download, but you can add that in. The cost of any shipping labels that I paid for, and the cost of any ads that I paid for. And those are really the 3 things that they kind of lump everything together in the finances tab there. And I get that report by month. It's a monthly report in the finances tab in your finances section on Etsy. And then I do put down the income before fees. So I want to have that so that I can, correspond. I can reconcile everything at the end of the year, but I do put that down here. And that's basically my Etsy spreadsheet. That's how I keep track of all of my Etsy fees and my Etsy sales. And it gives you all the numbers that you're going to need at the end of the year to reconcile it with the 1099. Again, the 1099 is usually a little bit off. That's a different thing. And the 1099 is a tax form for US sellers that Etsy has to issue if you make more than $600 a year. So you will get that at the end of the year this year if you haven't gotten one before. That's how that works. But if you do this every month and you keep track of it, just keep on top of it. I wait until I get my bank statement for the month, and then I do this, and I do the bank statement. That's income. The other thing that I do the other time of the month is when Etsy, or when I get my credit card bill. All of my income goes to my bank account. It's all direct deposited from everywhere. I get payments from Stripe. I get payments from PayPal. I get payments from Teachable. I get payments from Google Ads. I get payments from YouTube with the Google Ads. So all of that gets direct deposited into my bank account. So everything that I earn is on that one statement. And that's my business bank account. That's why you need a business bank account. It's just much easier to keep track. Everything that I spend is on my credit card. And on PayPal, sometimes I'll spend things on PayPal, but I run it through my credit card on PayPal. So it should go through my credit card. Sometimes PayPal does have some expenses that, accidentally gets paid through PayPal, but it's usually PayPal or my credit card. So that comes on my credit card statement. So when I get my credit card bill, I do my expenses. When I get my bank statement, I do my income. So it's really twice a month that I'm doing bookkeeping. And as long as you can keep up with that schedule, I find that works for me. Monthly statements, but do it twice a month. It breaks it up. It's not such a big deal. For my income and expenses, I have 2 separate spreadsheets. The income is these categories. That's everything that comes in. And I keep track of this, like I said, on my bank statement, because I have everything here directed to direct deposit into my bank statement in my business account. So that way I have everything in one place. And when I get the bank statement, I can go in and just kind of itemize everything. Now for expenses, I have a separate spreadsheet, and everything should be on my credit card bill. This is advertising, but not Etsy ads. Now, the one thing you need to be careful of is that you do not declare something or, claim an expense twice. And for advertising, that would be something if I decided to pay for an ad on Facebook or Pinterest or something like that. And I do that occasionally just to test things out, but usually I don't run ads. So that column is generally pretty empty, but you do want to keep track of anything that you do spend. So the Etsy ads are already in the Etsy Finances tab. You don't have to put that in this category, but you should have a category for advertising just in case you need it. Bank and credit card fees, cell phone and internet, Classes and education are deductible if they're related to your business. So anything that you spend, to buy a class, I'm in a blogging program, so I claim that as a deduction. And anything that you spend on your education that will further your business can be put on your taxes as an expense. Cost of goods sold is just the materials that are used to make the products. And then I have this, other expenses would be things like supplies. It's not directly related to each product, but I use them to make the product. So you need to make sure that you have every single thing that you buy for your business in your expenses somewhere. Domain name registrations and website fees, that's there. Equipment, if I have to buy printers, which I've done a lot of recently. My insurance, legal fees, and that would be registering my LLC. License fees are things that you pay to the state for licenses, business licenses, and that kind of thing. Your mileage, if you drive to the post office, you can deduct that as an expense. Office expenses, other expenses are things, like I said, just kind of random things that are uncategorized, or you can create a category for them if you have enough of something. PayPal fees, if you run payments through PayPal, you do have to pay their fees. Your postage fees if you buy shipping labels off of Etsy. If you buy Etsy labels, that's included in the Etsy fees that you've already put on the Etsy spreadsheet. Refunds not paid on Etsy. If for some reason you have to refund somebody after the time that Etsy will let you, then you can put that in there, but you can declare that, you can claim that as an expense. So make sure that you put that down somewhere. This is returns on my website. Shipping supplies, software like Marmalade, MailChimp, Textaful, any kind of software that I use Zoom, I use Ahrefs, so anything like that you can deduct. The fees for my credit card processing on my website. And then I also keep track of the sales tax that I pay to the state and my estimated taxes that I pay to the IRS, so that at the end of the year when I do my taxes, I know how much I've already paid. So those are the two additional spreadsheets that I fill out, and I fill them out once a month, when I get the credit card bill and when I get the bank statement. You want to just make sure that you're keeping track of every single thing that comes in and every single thing that goes out. And for me, I find it easy to do by keeping it in two places: my bank statement for everything that goes in and my credit card for everything that goes out. So if you do it that way, it's useful. If you pay cash for things, that gets messy. So just keep your receipts. I do keep all my receipts. And when I do my bookkeeping, I have the receipts here. I download the spreadsheets that I need. And sometimes I have my husband sit here and read numbers off the credit card statement to me, because that's easier. And it's also good to have, if you do have a spouse that files taxes with you and you're filing as a married couple, it's a good thing to have them in on this process so that they can see how you do it and that you're doing it the right way. And it's just another set of eyes on your numbers. But that's how I do it. Those are the categories that I use. And like I said, everything is on my bank statement and my credit card bill. And I do it twice a month just to make sure that I'm doing income and expenses. And it's pretty simple. And at the end of the year, I know that all the numbers are right because I'm the one that's putting them in based on the actual figures that came through on my bank and credit card. And I don't have to worry about the software not importing things the right way. So if you have any questions, leave them. You can download the form for Etsy in that article that I'm going to put in the description, and I will talk to you later.